Howdy there. So last night I watched the Rolling Stone concert film Shine a Light. This is the third viewing of the film for me. I saw it in the theater. I rented it soon after it came out, and now a couple years later I'm finally seeing it again on Blu-ray. The reason I put it on my queue was that, well, I honestly was kind of thinking about it a lot. A few months ago I got Exile on Main Street. They had a big deluxe digital remastered reissue of Exile on Main Street, which is the Rolling Stones' greatest album, which puts it in contention for greatest album of all time. If you feel that the Rolling Stones are one of the greatest bands of all time, well, their greatest album should certainly be in competition for greatest album of all time, which I think it is easily one of those. That's when I put the movie on my queue, is when I got that album, and I realized that a bulk of Shine a Light, the show at least, comes from that album. And I wanted to hear, you know, what has it been, 30 years later? Or maybe even more, I can't remember what anniversary the reissue was, but 30 years later, a live interpretation by mostly the same group of guys. I, wanted to hear what that sounded like. So I finally got around to getting it sent to me and watched. And I loved it. First of all, this is on Blu-ray. I thought the Blu-ray was great. Beautiful picture. Great sound. I had it cranked up to recreate the live experience as much as possible. I have a tough time rating this film because I feel that really it's more of a historical document. Of course, told in a artistically fashionable way. I mean, I really don't know what I want to give it. I mean, part of me says 10, but then, another part of me says, well, do you really want to give it a 10? So, I mean, at least have to give it a 9. Again, my powers are weakened here because, again, it's a historical document. You don't have as much to, judge. I hate to say the word judge because I still really don't feel I'm judging anything, but at least to critique, which is the same thing. It's just life. It just is. It's above reproach, really. It's directed by Martin Scorsese. It's Martin Scorsese's second concert film. Of course, he did the seminal The Last Waltz. It's not a concert film. It's definitely a documentary. But he also did the Bob Dylan No Direction Home. And now he's done Rolling Stones' Shine a Light. They did like a 2-night stand at the Beacon Theater in New York for President Clinton. You get to see President Clinton here. You get to see, Martin Scorsese here. He does no problems with hiding. I guess if I find one thing that I could nitpick, it would be that the film kind of opens with a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to get something like this on the stage and, basically get it going. And then the film ends at the end of the concert. We don't get to see any aftermath. We don't get to see how it all devolves. We get to see it evolve. We don't get to see it devolve. It just ends with the last song. It does have a fantastic crane shot at the end. But, again, structure-wise, maybe I could have used something at the end. Because, again, the beginning, I mean, I think they take like 15 minutes before they even get on stage just to show you even the construction of the stage. So, again, I could have maybe used a little bit of a breakdown there. It's well lit. It's a gorgeous looking film. Of course, you've got one of the world's great directors at the helm. It's going to look good. It's going to be technically excellent, and it is. Very well directed. The cameras are right in there. You have the best seat in the house. You know, it's never distracting. I mean, the camera movements, you're just there watching musicians. You never feel like, oh, this is a film, you know, and I'm going to make some cool effects here and, you know, whiz the camera around. I think that the stars of the show are the musicians here, as it should be. The music is great. I'm a Rolling Stones fan. I'm a big fan. I think they're the great band. When people ask me, is it Beatles or the Rolling Stones? I always say the Rolling Stones. To me, it's no competition. You know, to me, it's no competition. But I, again, love the Rolling Stones. I think all the music is great. I have the soundtrack album. I think the soundtrack album is fantastic. I have the 2-disc version. I think the highlight of the film for me is probably the appearance of Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy, I think, is becoming something of a... I mean, he has been a legend, but I think he's like truly becoming like a force of nature level of legend. Here he's great. He does Champagne and Reefer with the band. I don't know, just his performance, his energy that he gives off is definitely a highlight of the film for me. I think he's the best guest star that they have. Jack White also guest stars. Christina Aguilera also guest stars. Who else? I guess that's about it. But I think Buddy Guy gives the best guest star performance. I mean, it's tough to pick, you know, which song is my favorite. Again, all the songs sound great. I had it cranked. I was dancing. You know, it's a great movie because it shows a great band and a great performance. So if you're a Rolling Stones fan, well, you probably have already checked this out. If you're a Scorsese fan, you probably already checked it out. I am recommending it. Again, I'm divided. I'll give it a 9, just because a part of me feels guilty about giving it a 10, though a part of me feels guilty about giving it a 9. So, you know, what do I know? But it was a great watch, and I had a fun time watching it again. Again, it's a historical document of the greatest band putting on a hell of a show when they're, you know, old men. You know, they're old dudes now, and they can still bring it, and they do. So I don't know what else to say other than I really enjoy the film and the music is great. And you get to hear some deep tracks. I think that's kind of important. It's not just all the hits. You get to hear some deep tracks, and they sound fantastic. They sound as good as any of the other songs. But of course, you hear the gigantic hits, the, you know, Satisfaction, the Gimme Shelter, Sympathy for the Devil. I mean, you get a great Rolling Stones show here, and you get the best seat in the house. And well, you know, what could be better than that? What could be better than that? So that's the Rolling Stones. Shine a Light, directed by Martin Scorsese. Definitely check it out. If you've never seen it, you gotta see it once, because it definitely captures the Rolling Stones at a powerful point in their history. So that's it. Thanks.